This is Curtis coming at you from East Spread Studios once again, covering the NFL 2021 season. Week 11 is just about in the books with the game tonight. Going to dig into the Bills versus the Colts. I'm a Dolphins fan, but I was bothered by this loss. I was surprised by this loss. I really do, now the Dolphins have finished in the division, all intent and purposes. I want the Bills to take this division. I really don't want to see the Patriots take it again. And it was important with the Patriots winning this week that the Colts lost and the Bills held serve with that one-game advantage. And when I saw the blowout is really what it was, I was shocked. Went back to the tape, and I kind of overlooked this game. I anticipated the Bills to win. I really didn't think the Colts were going to be a real stiff challenge. But this happens when you're not really invested in the matchup and paying attention to the status of the teams and how they interact. They're just kind of going on a vague understanding of the two teams. Now, Bills fans are understandably unhappy and a bit nervous. But the reality is, the elements, the matchups, which were exaggerated by a lot of injuries and missing players on the Bills roster this week, really turned this into a buzzsaw for the Bills. I think they could have won. I think there's things they could have done to mitigate that and actually pull the win out. But we'll dig into that. But right off the bat, when you're missing, Zimmer is out for the season since like 2 weeks ago. Lutelli, he's out. Lutelli, he's out this week. He was out this week because of the C word. Edmonds is out due to injury. And this really created a soft run defense for the Colts, who have a very good front, pretty good blocking tight ends, and an excellent young running back to really take advantage. Then you add in the rain that came on, the wind. This was a game really built to foster this Colts run attack. And the Bills situation, with all these injuries and replacements, having to step up and take a major load of some pretty good players, left the Bills highly exposed. Now, Jonathan Taylor went off for an insane 185, 4 touchdowns, and 5.8 yards per carry. But let's be realistic. Klein was exposed many times in the run game throughout this game, where if Edmonds was there, this would have been a different story. Edmonds is bigger, faster, and better in the run game. And his loss was huge, huge. And Klein has done well as a third linebacker and occasional fill-in, but given prolonged exposure to a run attack like this, he was highly exposed. And then Oliver, Butler, who's a big man who plays very small. Phillips was double-teamed a lot. And as I spoke of Klein, they really were worn down, and they didn't have that depth. They played pretty well at certain spots, and I think the defense, at a certain point, was allowing this Bills team to get in, but many things came in and really interfered with it. Not to say they were great, because early on, right off on our first drive, the run attack was there. But they made a couple critical stops, and the Bills' offense wasn't able to take advantage of it. Now, I really still think the Bills can do something this season. They still can push forward into the playoffs. I don't know or think it's going to go through Buffalo now. There's a lot of things playing out right now that's going to make it difficult. But I think that's okay if they get some players back, obviously, and make some more adjustments. But the one critical thing that I spoke of that is very, very concerning, and I highlighted it as like a possible concern, but then when I did a little research into your history, it became a major red flag, no pun intended, yellow flag. And that's the lack of discipline, the amount of penalties that you guys are accruing this year. I thought from the first couple of games, there was very good discipline by your Bills team. Yeah, from that point around, the Chiefs game, you guys started getting sloppy, and some of those are poor calls, and there were some poor calls tonight, last night. But there's still a lot of sloppiness that's really lays at the foot of Sean McDermott and the Bills players. 2021, they're currently ranked 27th in penalties committed. 2020, 27th in penalties committed. 2019, 24th. 2018, 27th. And 2017, 10th. It's very difficult for a youngish style team that hasn't made it to the top to really get there with this level of lack of discipline, because you could see in this game, the Bills shot themselves in the foot critical moments several times. And another concerning thing for me is, I had said the defense was a really good defense, but a little thinnish. And this game, the time of possession was 37, almost 38 minutes for the Colts, and just about 22 minutes for the Bills. This means this thinnish defense has been on the field a lot, and they've been on the field a lot more the last couple of games than they were at the early stages. And this can begin to sap the defense of the Bills, which is critical for them. And this is why the run game and time of possession is going to play a major part. And it goes back to my concern with the Patriots, because they run the ball, shorten the game, and they have a pretty deep but not elite defense. And I think in a 17-game season, this can swing some of the way. Now, I believe the Bills can swing it back if they get. It was good to see Breida come out and make some big plays along with Singletary and Moss, and that's why I think they should really get back to really running football. And they did. For the most part in this game, I didn't mind Dable's calls. I was pretty much in support of what he was doing most of the night. But there was a few critical situations where he became impatient and started going with the heavy pass football. And in those critical situations, if he had gone the other route, I think it could have swayed this game a bit. And we'll get into that. Now, Allen was he had 209, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was 21 for 35. Not a good night for Allen. But again, throwing into that wind with the rain in the second half, playing from behind. Spencer Brown was out. You had to bring Ford in, which is not a good sign. But he really didn't do that bad. The offensive line wasn't terrible in its pass protection. I think most of this revolved around other things in the offensive line this time. Not to say they were great. But when you look at the drives, Bills were down 7. They get the ball, open it up. 3rd and 3, a false start on Ford. 3rd and 8. Still makeable, still almost within field goal range. 3rd and 8, you get a holding. And then Allen, I got to look at the old 22 film, but he threw into double coverage when he should have thrown it away, or there was another guy underneath that he possibly could have got it to. But again, I blame him for the pick, but this really started with the lack of discipline. It killed the critical drive. So, Colts come back 14-0. And I like to see Dable sticking with the run. There was some big runs, some big passes, that nice corner, just about a coffin corner pass by Allen for the touchdown. So it made it 14-7. This was where I was expecting to see, okay, they shook off the early charge. The Bills offense and defense are going to get it together. And they did in a way. The Colts, they get that bogus roughing the passer penalty where what's his name? Your linebacker slash DN, get the roughing the passer. But you could see the offensive lineman shoving him in the back. And so that extended the drive. And then there was that, what you can see here, was that missed sack. I mean, it was unbelievable. That at this point, I started feeling that something wasn't going right. There was a lot of forces aligning against your team today, and it was going to be very, very hard to overcome it. So they get the field goal. Now you're at 17-7, and then you get the kick return. Fumble, which gets turned eventually into a touchdown, and you're 24-7. Now, this is not a good place to be in at all. It's very big hole. But it was really early. You are home, and it's the Bills' offense. They can put points on. And they did. They came out and, well, they didn't put it on, but they came out and had a very, very good drive with like just over a minute left, drove down to the 36. And this is where things got dicey a little bit. You can see in this pick right here, Allen had two guys open with substantial amount of yards with 2 timeouts. They could have gotten the ball and got out of bounds, but instead he opted to hold it longer and go to that second level to try to get it all. And there was the fumble, which burned the timeout. And then Allen, for some reason, opts to not go to Beasley, who was wide open on 2nd down and 22. And I thought this was a mistake because Beasley had a lot of space. Ultimately, it was a pass. I think it was to Diggs, and he got less yardage than Beasley would have gotten. And so then there was in like 57 yards with pretty heavy wind, and they missed the field goal. And this was a big opportunity. I thought Allen should have got that ball out early on down 1. Should have really kept looking at that early level, that first level of receivers on down 2. And the missed field goal really hurt because you got the ball back in the second half. So you're talking, you could have been 27-10. No, then you come out and it was 17-24, 1 score, no big deal. But now it's 24-7. But I still didn't think the game was out of hand. And the half happened, and they were saying their winds picked up like 27 miles an hour. The rain's coming down. And this is where I thought Dable lost control, became very impatient. And he came in and threw. He threw a short pass to the running back that got deflected. A lot of pressure around Allen. Then it was one to Knox. Very tight ball, about 20 yards downfield. It was a little out of his reach, especially with the. And you got to, it's hard, even with Allen's cannon, to throw in that kind of wind that far downfield with that kind of accuracy needed. And then there was another one to Davis. We had overthrow over coverage. And both those were drop, but those were really drops. They really couldn't get those balls. But those are highly difficult throws. Where I thought they should have came out, like the drive coming up, where they're able to run. They should have came out running and been patient. But they were very impatient and trying to take it all right away. And that's another critical factor, along with the discipline, is patience. You need patience to win a Super Bowl. You need to be a patient team. So a holding call removes a sack from Oliver on the Colts' following drive, but they stop them. They get the punt. It's 24-7, and the Bills get a chance. Breida gets that big run. I think he's a real nice addition to your run game. Then it was that nice little run where he got to the 36, and you could feel the strength of the run game coming in. Then on the 1st and 10, Singletary had the 2nd down and 5 run. He ran for 5 yards. So now you're in 2nd down and 5 at the 31. And I thought this is where you should have dialed up an Allen convoy run or even another run because you need to get at least 3. And if not, put yourself in 4-down territory to get that 1st down and keep driving for the touchdown and keep that defense off the field. But instead, he did that weird rollout pass. And I don't know why Allen, he just kind of like flicked it. I don't know why he just didn't stop, pivot, and throw over him. He really didn't look like he committed to the pass. I really didn't like that pass. I think it was to Knox. It fell out of the way. And then there was another pass to Beasley, but that was really too high. They dropped guys in the coverage. And then there was still 8 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. This wasn't out of the way. Then it was the field goal, the miss. And then the Colts came back, drove down the field, scored. And it was 31-7, and the game was over. But to me, there was multiple opportunities for the Bills to get back into this game. And some of it I thought was penalties and mistakes and being impatient by the quarterback and the OC. And this was a really important game. They got 2 more weeks before you play the Patriots, and that's going to be a big, big deal. I don't think the Patriots are in the league of the Bills as far as talent, but when you watch them play, they are highly patient, and they're not as usually as disciplined as usual Bill Belichick teams, but they're pretty disciplined. And that patience, that run game, like what you're seeing with the Colts, is very similar to the style of offense that the Patriots bring. And that concerns me because as a football fan, I respect the Patriots, respect Bill Belichick, I like Mac, but as a Fins fan, I am rooting for you. I really want you guys to take the division this year. And I'm getting very worried. I'm not nervous, but I'm getting concerned because it just feels like from that KC game, there's been a lack of patience all throughout the team. And I liked how you got back to the running game, and I think that's going to get rectified, especially with Breida making these big plays, but this penalty deal is a major, major issue. You're not going to blow out the Patriots. That defense is pretty good. They're going to keep this a semi-close game. And it's the odd thing. Dable, McDermott, Allen, the offense, the defense, they were very, very patient from like week 2 all of the Kansas City game and sporadically for a couple games after that. But the nerves seem to have gotten into this team. So I wouldn't be terrified, but I would be concerned. I don't think your team's out of it. I think there's areas to be fixed. I think when Edmonds comes back, that's a big, big deal. I think Brown is helps. But you could see here that this game wasn't about the linemen. There's way more than that. And this was a home game too. So Bills fans, hang in there. I do think there's hope. I do think that even if you got in to the postseason, even as a wild card, you could be a highly dangerous team and make it to the Super Bowl. But now it's really about getting to those playoffs and fixing certain elements, certain fundamental aspects of your team, but they are fixable. So Bills fans, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for Allen. You guys got to get this win this week. It's a big game. I'm really going to cover it hard. And I just hang in there. Don't hold your heads down. I really believe in you. But it's nerve-wracking. Anyway, this is Curtis. Thank you for staying to the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Comments mean the most. I want to hear your thoughts. I've gone over your game a couple times, but there's things that I always miss is not being a fan, so let me know what you think. Subscribes and likes help us with our Google overlords. Keeps us in business, keeps me talking football, and that's really what I like to do. Really, really enjoying this. I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsors, Ace Per Head, the best online sports book in the industry. They want to let you know with their world-class software, you can get on the action with friends, family, and coworkers as a local bookie. They are the best. This wouldn't be happening without them. That's where the name of this channel comes from that company, the company Ace Per Head that supports us. They are the best. Really, really, they are the best. And you guys are the best. Again, Bills fans, I'm rooting for you as a Fins fan. Big game coming up. So best of luck. This is Curtis saying thanks for staying to the end. Catch you next time. Be well.